Chapter 15, Imposter Eliminator Exercises. Samples of the therapies. These exercises will give you an overview of your imposter syndrome and steps to resolve it. I promise no role play, one benefit of a book or audiobook over a workshop. The exercises generally mirror the different types of therapy, including the compassionate conversations. They should help settle any fears about the therapy or treatment so that you feel empowered to engage in therapy. I know we're reluctant, I know. Seeing how it affects you, not them, helps you see why therapy could transform your life. Sitting quietly with your thoughts on blank paper is incredibly powerful, and once you start writing, things will pour out. You do need to embrace it to feel it. I know it's hard. These exercises may be enough for you without needing any formal therapy, and that's great. The price of the book was worth it. The exercises are optional, though they are intended to flow in a rough sequence mirroring the therapy process. These exercises are designed to help you see how imposter syndrome's already affected your life and to look ahead to where you want to be. This is the nub of solution-focused therapy, what could be. After these exercises, we'll look at potentially responsible traumas. In many cases, the traumas will be things you know but don't think about. However, occasionally something you're unaware of or distressing can surface. I do have some advice for the trauma exercises. Remember that you'll be conjuring up traumas and not immediately resolving them. That can be hard. So think about whether accessing the traumas would work for you right now. Before doing this, it might be worth looking for a blast practitioner near you or online so that you can access a session quickly if you need one. Let's start gently. Preparing for the main exercises. Find somewhere quiet and a time window for the exercises. Take a blank piece of paper and a pen or a pencil. A glass of water or a coffee might help you relax. You might prefer silence or some calming music, and for more on that, see the relaxation section later. Find somewhere comfortable to sit where you won't be distracted for about half an hour. If distracted, you'll miss out on that flow of emotions and thoughts that work here. The dog can sit beside you quietly, but the kids might break the silence. You could also do some focused breathing or whole body relaxation before you start. These are quick and can open your mind to tackle the exercises. Most of the exercises ask you to set a time limit. Set an alarm to tell you when to stop, but try to put your phone and watch to the side. The alarm will let you know when the time's up. Right, you're set. Let's begin. Exercise 1, creating the desire for change. So set aside 20 minutes. Take your blank sheet of paper and a pen or pencil. There will be some questions. Then use the time and focus to start a brain dump onto the paper. Take a few slow, deep breaths. Don't worry, at first it will feel contrived or odd. Right, imagine from your school career until today, you've always been brimming with confidence and energy. All opportunities were open to you, and you felt confident asking for options you couldn't see easily. Take a few moments or even a minute. You can start writing your thoughts down when you feel ready. And once you start writing, the flow will start. Write or doodle, whatever works best for you. It doesn't need to be neat, just use the whole page if you want and just let it out. Which opportunities would you have taken? What difference would that have made? Would you be right where you are now, or somewhere different? When you're ready to stop, take a deep breath and sit up. Are you surprised by anything you wrote or felt? Do you feel that imposter syndrome has impacted your life? Let's move on and look forward. Exercise 2, sideline your imposter. Set aside 15 minutes this time and prepare again as before. Take a second to appreciate where you are in life and career. Did you ever think you would achieve what you have achieved? Think briefly about family and friends and how they might look at your career and life. You might wish you'd achieved more or have some regrets. Are you proud of where you are in work and life? Take a moment to think of the 5 things you are most proud of and why. Imposter syndrome will try to tell you there can't be 5, but there literally should be hundreds. Think of 1 and the next 4 will come more easily. Write them on the paper, as writing them down acts to reinforce them. This exercise makes you feel more positive and more open to therapy. Exercise 3, setting your future direction. Set aside 15 minutes this time and prepare again as before. Now, think of what matters to you and be honest. You only have one life and you should be the star of that movie. Where do you want to be? Really, really, really want to be? The Japanese concept of ikigai looks at your purpose in life. It takes what you need, what you love, what you're good at, and what you can get paid for, and looks for that intersection. It includes passion, profession, and vocation. Look at your life as a whole, not just your work. Where do you find your joy? We'll go ahead and elaborate on that vision in a minute. We're just after some bare bones to hang it on here. Write them down. Could you say them out loud if it helps? Let's take that bare bones skeleton and flesh it out in the next exercise. Exercise 4, looking back later from your new future. Again, set aside 15 minutes this time. You sketched your preferred future in the previous exercise, exercise 3. Let's ground that. Imagine you looking back 20 years from now at your retirement. What would you want to see looking back? Just as importantly, what do you wish you'd planned? Travel, hobbies, grandchildren, charity work, or different paid work? Do you want to have stepped to the side to pursue your dreams? Are you satisfied with what you see? What pleases you most? And did you live a life that brought you joy? Exercise 5, fleshing out your new future. Again, set aside 15 minutes this time. You sketched your preferred future in the previous exercise, exercise 4. Now we need to flesh it out and make it come alive. Glorious Technicolor, here we come. Take your bare bones vision and write it down somewhere big and obvious on the paper. Feel free to add emojis or doodles or anything else to illustrate your new world. What would be different there? What would you notice? What would you be doing? And what would others be doing? What would they notice differently about you? Would anyone else be there? Try to imagine a typical day in this place. What happens? What's different? For every question, we could have the follow-up question, what else? The more detail, the more real it becomes. Once it becomes so real you could almost be there, ask yourself what else again. Eke out every tiny detail you can. Once you have, look at your paper. Take a moment to process your thoughts. It's out there and you can practically touch it. Exercise 6. Where on a scale are you right now? And be kind. No paper this time. Feel free to set a timer for around 10 minutes if you like. You now have a vivid, realistic view of your new world. Imagine that becoming real in all of its glory as being 10 out of 10, and 1 out of 10 is the opposite end of that spectrum. Where would you put yourself today? You can draw a line with numbers, a ladder, or imagine where you are. The number's just a starting point, not a score as such. Did you say 1? Well, okay. What keeps you going? What keeps you trying to make changes? And what stops things from getting even worse? Did you say 10? And you may laugh. Often describing that desired future, people realise they're actually pretty good. And it happens a lot with children. What got you to 10? Then you could describe those things in detail. Did you say any number between 1 and 10? Great. Why did you say that number rather than 1? What gets you there? What else? What would your friends or family say? What qualities do you know that you have that gives you confidence you can do this? Take a quick breather once you've fleshed this out as much as possible. Try and keep going. The details are the instances of what works. Right, so we know how far along that road you are already. So imagine you sat down again in a couple of weeks and your rating had moved up 1 point on that scale. You thought you were more 5 than 4 or more 6 than 5, for example. Don't ask yourself what you'd have to do to get there. Instead, ask what you might notice differently. It's a relatively small shift, so it feels doable. Try to describe as much detail as possible, moving 1 step closer. This detail helps embed the idea that even if your new world seems far away, it's only manageable steps away. You can even use half points in the rating if it helps, and clients often do this spontaneously. You now have a view of your new world with the feeling of moving towards it. Good for you. Exercise 7. Trauma. What trauma? The following exercises are based on the traumas that drove your imposter syndrome. For most of us, these will already be something we know or cope with. A few people will uncover some memories buried deep because they were so painful or shameful. These are repressed if buried so deep we have no conscious knowledge of them. There is a risk if traumatic memories are conjured up without a plan to resolve them. So think about whether you want to proceed with these alone or whether you'd prefer to book a blast therapy session first. You might be interested in what drove your imposter syndrome, even if you plan to pursue compassionate conversations or solution-focused therapy. Set aside around half an hour somewhere quiet. Choose somewhere to sit comfortably. Take some slow, deep breaths or do progressive muscle relaxation. You may not think you've experienced trauma. Indeed, there may not be any headline big T traumas, but you might already have an idea of what's responsible. Sit back, don't try too hard to pull memories up, just let them drift to the surface. Be patient, it might help to close your eyes. Please don't force it. What jumps out first? Your first idea or something else? Do you see a snapshot or video of the trauma? Is it vivid and strong? Do you remember exactly who was there and what they were wearing? That's a really powerful memory. If so, it has yet to be fully processed and affects you often. Usually, negative emotions are saved beside the memories of traumas. These negative emotions are reinforced every time we relive the trauma. If it's not too upsetting, let's look in more detail at these emotions. What emotions do you feel when that memory comes up? What sort of sensations accompany the memory? Where in your body are the feelings? Don't delve too deeply into the trauma. You might notice that other traumas may also emerge. Look at them also with some curiosity. If you need help or feel overwhelmed, please reach out. I understand and get it, and there will be therapists local to you too. Bringing it all together. Are you convinced that these therapies could help? Go ahead and book blast or solution-focused therapy. These exercises may have been enough for you. Hopefully they've helped you understand why the therapies would work and feel comfortable with what to expect. Don't wait. You want to change now. Continuing as you are wastes too much energy and you're too tired, just really tired.